Trump had dinner and played a game of golf at Mar-a-Lago with one of his chief defenders, Fox News host Sean Hannity, this weekend. Hannity, of course, has been a loyal attack dog in the battle against Robert Mueller and the FBI. For months and months, almost for a year at this point, Hannity has been waging a war on Mueller and the FBI.
We have been sounding this alarm about the deep state.
Deep state.
Deep state.
Deep state.
Deep state.
Deep state.
The Mueller investigation is illegitimate and corrupt.
Corrupt.
What do we need to get the wheels of justice really churning here? Because I know I'm fed up and my audience is fed up.
What is the fallout? What is the damage from that constant stream of criticisms and attacks? Let me ask my next guest, Josh Campbell. He's a former FBI special agent, now a CNN law enforcement analyst. Josh, you posted a tweet this week that caught my eye saying Hannity's attacks, the complaints from Fox, they are warping people's minds. How do you see this playing out?
Hey, Brian, great to be with you. I think if you look at recent events, I think it shows that we are slipping as a society because of some in the news. And when I talk about Fox, I just want to say at the outset that there are a lot of good, hardworking journalists over at Fox. My focus here is on the primetime lineup that often tries to, masquerade itself as news when in fact it's really entertainment. You look at the last year and what has now become fair game for these attacks. First, it was the FBI, then it was our institutions of justice, and now even high school kids are becoming the victims of, people on media who say, okay, we're throwing everything, all caution to the wind, and now we're setting our sights on them. So it shows kind of that slippage. And if you look at these attacks, Brian, kind of throughout, there's one common theme, and that is you don't see an intelligent debate on ideas. You see attacks on people and on institutions. So we don't have an intelligent debate refuting Russian collusion. We get attacks on the FBI and on Bob Mueller. We don't get a really serious gun control debate from folks like Laura Ingraham. We get attacks on kids' report cards. And I think it's part of a strategy. And, I recently did the transition from the FBI over to journalism, and I was wondering why the transition was so seamless, and it dawned on me that these are two professions that are very similar in the sense that you collect facts and then you explain them. Collect facts, explain them. Simple as that. When you look at politics, and this is what I'm afraid when you look at this primetime lineup, when you have the political model that's now infused on top of journalism, these folks start with the conclusion and then selectively pick facts in order to reach that conclusion. I think it does a disservice for the viewers.
Do you see the ultimate strategy here, the daily complaints and attacks against the FBI, as a plan for whatever happens on the line with Mueller, whatever more indictments come, that Trump and his media allies will be able to point and say, well, they're biased, they're corrupt, you can't believe it? Is that the end game?
Yeah, absolutely. And not just my view, but a lot of my former colleagues who I would talk to, we'd sit there and watch. And, a lot of these, if you think about law enforcement, which is, mostly right of center, a lot of folks politically, they would sit there perplexed and say, here is the network that we watch. Here is the party, quote unquote, of law enforcement that's now attacking the FBI. And they're trying to make sense of it. And I think the conclusion was, kind of the consensus is, this is an attempt to soften the ground, to discredit Bob Mueller and his people and the men and women of the FBI, so that if something does come down the line and, shows some type of malfeasance, that they can look back and say, aha, we told you all along that these folks can't be trusted. And so I think it's really concerning.
So you're saying that there are folks still at the FBI that have to explain this to their relatives, right? That have to say, here's why they're attacking us on television.
Absolutely. And if you think about it, there were some out there who were saying, well, we're just talking about leadership, we're not talking about the people. Whether you're an FBI agent or analyst at FBI headquarters, maybe you're down in Salt Lake doing an inspection, moving up in the chain, or you're out in the field, you are impacted by this. This impacts everyone, these political attacks. And I think at the end of the day, because the FBI is an organization that has to be believed, if this corrosive doubt continues to take hold and the American people really think the FBI can't be trusted, then I think it's dangerous for our country. And I just say one last thing too. When we look at this dinner with Sean Hannity and the president, I don't fault the president. I don't fault a politician for looking and saying, okay, here's my orbit. And communication is an important part of that. So I'm going to try to co-opt, fringe media in order to help amplify my view. I don't fault the politician. I fault those who masquerade as journalists who, fortunately I can't sympathize with this, to go to bed every night looking back, knowing that you spent your day as a shill for a politician and knowing you're going to get up tomorrow and do the same. It's got to be an incredibly icky feeling. I'm just saying that it does a disservice to the American people if, as long as that little cube is spinning in the bottom of the screen saying news, folks want news, and to provide opinion that's masquerading as news without providing the facts, I think is a disservice.